What's up, everybody? It's Jason Cruz here once again with another edition of The Legal Submission. And yet again, we're dealing with another boxing lawsuit. This time, we're going to talk about Monster Mel, Mladen Miljas, a professional boxer out of Canada, and his lawsuit against Greg Cohen Promotions, LLC, and Greg Cohen. Now, this lawsuit is filed once again in Iowa, which is, I believe, the domicile for Greg Cohen's business outfit. But basically, what is happening in this particular lawsuit is another issue in which a promoter and a boxer go at it once again in the courtroom. So, just to give you a background on the Monster Mel, he is he's 28 years old right now. He became a Canadian heavyweight champion and out of Canada, and was sought out by Greg Cohen to be promoted by Greg Cohen for heavyweight bouts. And so Monster Mel signed with Greg Cohen, believing that this would be a way for him to highlight himself in the boxing heavyweight division and get some fights, and perhaps maybe obtain a higher paying title fight down the road. So the promotional agreement, which we'll talk about in a little bit, encompassed several things. One of the things was that he would be guaranteed 4 fights per year, and this was pointed out in the particular contract. And this is actually one of the reasons why we have this lawsuit right now. Monster Mel debuted as a professional boxer in July 2016 with a TKO in his very first fight. He then fought twice in 2016, winning again by TKO. And so you could see that his boxing career was starting to be up in a upward trajectory. And so word got out. Greg Cohen talked to him by phone and talked to him about securing him fights, including television fights. And one day he sold Mladen on becoming a heavyweight champion. Again, we talk about the promise of 4 fights per year, and that was indicated in a promotional agreement that he signed on June 11th, 2018. So this is where issues occurred. So the first fight Cohen represented to have secured was to take place in August 2018. The opponent was not someone that was known. He wasn't. His resume wasn't listed on BoxRec, and Cohen did not provide Mladen with a written contract or any formal notice of the fight. The night before the fight was to occur, Cohen called Mladen and told him that the opponent had pulled out of the fight with no injury or explanation. So Cohen said the opponent would be suspended. The opponent was not suspended and did fight in his scheduled bout a week later against someone else. So this fighter actually was double booked. And it appears as though he decided to skip out on Mladen's fight and take the one that he had a week after Mladen's fight. There was another fight that was secured in September of 2018. Remember that the promotional agreement was signed in June. He did get another fight in September 2018. The fight was against a gentleman by the name of Travis Fulton, who was 43, 6 inches shorter than Mladen, and ranked 644th in the world. And his boxing history was 25 wins, 48 losses, and 2 draws. So suffice it to say, his record was not outstanding, but at least he was ranked. Mladen won the fight by TKO within the first 2 minutes, and as you could see, As a fighter that wants to accelerate up the ladder sooner than later, these fights that Cohen was obtaining for him were less than stellar. Mladen claims that Cohen had called him ungrateful for securing these fights. Obviously, Mladen hoped that the fights would be more competitive. Certainly he would want to win, but he wanted to be more competitive and to highlight his portfolio and perhaps move up the ranks in the boxing heavyweight division. It was one of those things in which Mladen believed he wasn't growing. And so once Mladen was out without a fight. And through October, November, and December of 2018, Cohen refused to answer Mladen's calls or texts and failed to secure any opponents at that particular time. So on December 1st, 2018, without any word as far as upcoming fights, Mladen's father emailed Cohen to express his concern with the lack of development. And so Cohen indicated that he was going to get him a fight in January of 2019. Or in February of the same year, and he believed that he once again tried to secure Mladen's trust in him, and that he was going to still get him fights. So Cohen secured only 2 fights in early 2019 and again, these were not opponents that were of any renown, a 42-year-old journeyman fighter and also another 43-year-old journeyman fighter. Both of them, Mladen secured easy victories with TKOs. At a certain point, Mladen was upset and frustrated with what was going on. So he actually, according to the promotional contract, sent Mladen a notice of breach. In May of 2020, Mladen sent Cohen a breach of contract notice citing the failure of Cohen's obligations per Section 3 of the promotional agreement, which promised 4 fights a year. Now, he outlined that from June 11th, 2018 to December 31st, 2018, Cohen secured only 1 fight. From June 11th, 2018 to June 11th, 2019, 1 year into the promotional contract, he'd only secured 3 fights, 1 less than he should have. From January 1, 2019 to January 1, 2020, Cohen secured only 3 fights. And then finally, from June 11, 2019 to June 11, 2020, Cohen secured only 1 fight. And once again, these fights were not fighters that would be able to show that Mladen was Monster Mel was moving up in the boxing ranks. Moreover, they were just fights against journeyman fighters that, let's face it, were on their last legs. Now, in this notice of breach, there was a 30-day period in which Cohen could cure the provision, which means basically for this particular issue, find him fights. Obviously, there had been promises in the past made by Cohen that he was going to find fights for Monster Mel. There was no indication that there was a reason why he couldn't find fights for him, just that he was still working on these particular things. As the complaint filed by Monster Mel indicates, Cohen framed Mel as ungrateful, and he denied any breach of their promotional contract. And in response, by Cohen's representative, denied that he had breached the promotional contract, and cited the fact that Mladen had turned down several fights offered by Cohen. Now, these are the fights in which we had discussed that he was offered 43-year-old fighters, journeyman, people ranked way up in the division rankings. Not anyone of renown or anyone young or anyone with a winning record in the heavyweight division. At least not from what we read in the complaint filed by Monster Mel. So at this time, at about the same time, interesting enough, Cohen was incarcerated for wire fraud. And for those in the boxing world, we all know that Cohen was charged in January 2019 due to a fraud scheme unrelated to the boxing world, but he did spend some. He did have to. He was fined and did spend some time, I believe, in federal prison. He was sentenced to he was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison. I'm not sure right off the bat whether he actually spent some time in prison, but still he was charged and sentenced based on wire fraud. And obviously, it's not good that your promoter has been accused and charged and convicted of wire fraud. So here are the issues for Monster Mel. He wants to break the contract. He wants the court in this particular lawsuit to issue an order saying that the promotional contract is void because of the breaches by Cohen. From his perspective, they were unkept promises. They were promises for him to be promoted by a boxing promoter, and he was given less than what he had expected. Now, is there a buyer beware issue here where he should have done his homework on Cohen? Well, it's hard to say. Obviously, we have legislation like the Ali Act to protect boxers from unsavory characters. And whether or not Greg Cohen was an unsavory character, that's up to who you talk to. And Monster Mel obviously believes that he was duped by Cohen because there was a promise of 4 fights in his particular contract, and he didn't get all of the fights, and the fights he received were of low quality. They were not very good fights. They weren't fights that would help his career. And certainly in a boxer's career, there's just a short lifespan of earning potential, and you could see why Monster Mel wanted to get out of the contract. He wanted to find either another promoter or promote himself so he could try to find fights that could get him to where he wanted, which is probably fighting for a title shot in the heavyweight division. So what happens now? Well, it's definitely clear that Cohen will be fighting this lawsuit. Just this past month, the Monster Mel had filed an amended complaint asking for just trying to changing certain facts, and it's still the framework of the lawsuit is still there. He does claim violations of the Ali Act. As I indicated, there's protections for boxers, and he claims that Cohen did not protect him. And of course, requests that the promoter contract be void. This is one of those issues yet again where we have a boxer and this time a promoter. In other cases we've had managers, but in this time promoter are at issue with a legal dispute. Here's an interesting case because the boxer has made the claim that he's dissatisfied with the type of work that the promoter is doing and is seeking a way out of the contract, whereas Cohen is trying to keep him in the contract. Obviously, he does something different than other boxers have or other MMA fighters have in the past, and that is he goes through the contract provisions and tries to obtain relief that way, which is he gives them a notice of breach. He indicates why he feels he should seek relief, and there is a period of 30 days in which you can cure the provision, which is normal in contract law. However, Cohen denies the fact that he breached the agreement, citing the fact that, hey, you turned down fights. The underlying, maybe overarching factual issue here is what is quality of fight an issue in obtaining fights? Cohen will argue that that is not the case. That he got him fights. He turned down fights, and as a result, he could not meet the requisite 4-fight minimum per the contract. So this lawsuit will continue on into the summer, and hopefully for Monster Mel's career, this gets settled sooner than later. Of course, Cohen will try to fight this tooth and nail because he does not want to lose an asset like Monster Mel, an upcoming heavyweight fighter. So once again, we'll follow this as we go. Follow me on YouTube, The Legal Submission, or SoundCloud, or Twitter. Jason Cruz, The Legal Submission. Have a good one, guys.